Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's day is Friday, the 2nd of May 2025, the year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai, all your posts put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. Check this out, look. This is in Euro Weekly. They said, planning to withdraw cash in Spain, you could now face a €150,000 fine. Like, what the fuck? Seriously. Just need to get away from the banks because it's just criminal what's going on. Well, we know they've been planning this for a long time. Post here from Biel Okamoto saying, could BSV be a scalable solution to the case of the major blackouts and using radio solar powered systems to broadcast transactions? We'll just touch on that. Got this classic a speech here from Howard Lutnick, the US Secretary of Commerce, literally, at the BTC conference here, supporting Tether. Absolutely unbelievable. And again, we all know that Tether is the only thing that keeps BTC alive. And here he is pumping Tether. He's at the BTC conference pumping Tether. Like, seriously. And you got the likes of Jameson, Lobson, Ansem, Samsung Mao. They know that BTC is nothing without Tether, which is why they pump the shit out of it. Unbelievable. Kurt posted this at Ager-Hanssen exposed. Ager-Hanssen bankrupt again in Norway. This comes from Ager-HanssenExposed.com. I mean, who the fuck got this guy in an N-chain? I just do not know. Got to talk about this. Literally, I think it's the highest one anybody has pointed out. 152 million transactions in 24 hours. Just cross-reference that with where we are now. Some 365 days of Bitcoin history. What an epic day the 2nd of May was in 2016. Like, whoa. Absolutely massive. And here we are on the anniversary of it. 9 years ago. 9 years ago. Can you believe it? 2016. Jeepers. And then that'll be the end of the show. Right. Let's get into it.
Greg says he's Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Here we go. So, planning to withdraw cash in Spain, you could now face a €150,000 fine. What the hell? So they're saying under the picture here, withdrawing large amounts of cash in Spain now comes with strict reporting rules to avoid heavy fines. And this is a credit from Hedgehog94 and Shutterstock. Thinking of pulling out a large amount of cash from your bank account in Spain, a new rule is now in force, and ignoring it could cost you dearly. New rules in Spain, cash withdrawals over €3,000 under strict control. Like, what the hell? Honestly, it's just so ridiculous that people, well, things though, those people who are asleep will never see what's going on until it's too late. So from now on, anyone withdrawing €3,000 or more from a Spanish bank must notify the Argentina Tributaria, which is Spain's tax agency, and again, tax is completely unlawful, in advance. If you're planning to take out €100,000 or more, you'll need to give at least 72 hours notice. For smaller sums over €3,000, a 24-hour notice is mandatory. I mean, this is literally just communism 101. Controlling people. And again, the reason they're doing it and overstepping the mark is because up until now, there hasn't been an alternative. It's crazy. The warning must be filed through the tax agency's official website, again using the government control, and using digital ID certificates. Oh my god. A PIN or electronic ID card. Again, I mean, they're just turning this into China. Eventually, they'll all be stuck on 2 platforms, or Alipay or WeChat, and that's it. You'll receive a receipt that must be shown at the bank when withdrawing your cash. I mean, literally asking the government for permission. This is absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. And again, I mean, the tax office is a corporate entity. They've got no authority whatsoever. It's just unbelievable. Failure to notify, question. You risk a fine between 1% and 10% of the amount withdrawn, starting at €600. Again, they've got no authority to... There's no fines or forfeitures without conviction from a jury of peers. There is nothing criminal about this at all. Oh, we're just going to fine you for this. I'll fine them for trying to put a fine... I'd fine them for trying to put a fine on me. To contempt of court, actually, is what people should be doing. And climbing up to a massive €150,000, depending on the seriousness of the violation. Give me a break. It's this lot letting all the countries be invaded. Banks are now required to block withdrawals if they detect missing paperwork and must report suspicious transactions to the authorities, even if amounts are repeatedly just under the threshold. Again, but it doesn't apply to them, does it? Spain steps up a fight against tax fraud. Was that what they call it? It's against tax fraud. Yeah, you've got to pay taxes, even though paying tax is actually unlawful, and forcing it is a criminal activity. But they're saying they're fighting against tax fraud and money laundering. What's fiat currency then? Yeah, you're not going to fight against that, are you? This tough new measure is part of a wider strategy to crack down on tax fraud. Yeah, like anybody gives a monkeys about that. Money laundering and terrorism financing. This lot are the terrorists. Unbelievable. Authorities say that cash remains a key tool for illegal activities, making tighter monitoring essential. Interestingly, it's not just massive withdrawals that will raise red flags. Even frequent smaller withdrawals, say €800 or €900 at a time, could draw unwanted attention if not properly justified. The message from the Spanish government is clear. Every move involving large sums of cash must now be fully traceable. Honestly, unbelievable. Again, it's just slowly creeping in. This is what they do. Banks themselves will also play a stronger role, reporting detailed information about all significant cash movements to Hacienda on a regular basis. How to notify Spanish tax authorities before the withdrawing cash. To stay on the right side of the law, honestly, bullshit. You'll need to submit a formal notification through the Agencia Tributaria's online platform, making sure you include the amount you plan to withdraw, the purpose of the withdrawal, your identity and the identity of the financial recipient if different. Once done, keep your confirmation ready, and your bank will ask for it before handing over the money. Currency, that is, and it's securities fraud. So if you're planning a large withdrawal, don't wait until you're standing over the counter. File your notice first, or you could be looking at a fine big enough to ruin your day. Honestly, just totalitarian control coming in there. Unbelievable. We've got a post here from BL Okamoto saying, could BSV be a scalable solution in case of a major blackout, like what happened in Spain, using radio and solar powered systems to broadcast transaction? Is there any native protocol or roadmap in BSV to support offline resilience via radio transmission? And Light has responded here saying, with the right protocols, yes, but ham radio has already defined a lot of this already. Bitcoin transactions have already been demonstrated over packet radio. What are really needed are pay-as-you-go mesh networks that work online as well as off. Alice to Bob, Bob to Charlie to Dave. Yeah, very good. And he said, given that this is technically possible to transmit BSV transactions via radio using existing protocols, and considering that in scenarios like massive blackouts or conflicts such as network could help sustain local economies, is there currently any project or interest within the BSV ecosystem to develop a mesh network with micropayments incentives for offline transaction relays? This kind of system could become a critical infrastructure to ensure economic continuity in exceptional circumstances. And like I said, I would be willing to bet there's intellectual property covering a lot of this area, but no commercial or research programs that I know of yet. And again, you know, all these programs and other things, they will all come with economic incentive. But again, this is why the cabal are moving so fast to bring in the totalitarian one world government, because they want to give themselves one world jurisdiction where they can just ban all these devices. Literally, that's what they're trying to do. It's a race against time, and they control the banks, and the banks finance everything until the number pops on this thing, where all those people in the that know what's going on. We're basically waiting for this to fund the projects that we want, because you can't use BTC for it. You have to cash out BTC into filthy fiat, and the banks say, hold on a minute, what are you doing with that? No, we're not going to give you that. You know, literally, this is what's going on. It is a war we're in, and it is a race against time. That's what's going on. Right, let's have a listen to this speech from Howard Lutnick, and we'll break this down as he goes through it. Here we go.
Every time someone buys Tether, Tether buys a treasury bill, and we're financing the U.S. Treasury's debt.
So every time someone buys Tether, Tether buys a treasury bill. Do they actually, though? Do they actually buy a Tether, a treasury bill? You know, and then he's saying, oh, they're financing the country's debt. They're just increasing the debt. But we got other people to buy Tether.
So emerging market distribution of USDT is fundamental for backing our debt in our country, which helps us live in this beautiful way.
Smells like absolute bullshit. Let's just break that down again. Here we go.
Every time someone buys Tether, Tether buys a treasury bill, and we're financing the U.S. Treasury's debt.
Financing the US Treasury's debt, as in like paying it back that isn't owed anyway because it's all fiat currency. And this guy is at the BTC conference pumping Tether, which has never even been audited. Never once been audited. They've done 2 attestations, which, you know, they moved millions in or billions in and billions back out again. And here he's pumping it at the BTC conference saying, oh yeah, it's a good thing that people buy Tether because it's financing our debt. Yeah, that's right, because you want to live in debt, do you?
The U.S. Treasury's debt. So emerging market distribution.
Emerging market distribution. Just more techno babble.
Of USDT is fundamental for backing our debt.
Backing your debt?
In our country.
So backing their debt in their country.
Which helps us live in this beautiful way.
What? In debt. Honestly, but the fact is, he's trying to put a positive spin on Tether. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable, unbelievable. But you know, those who know the truth know what I'm saying. Shitcoiners with shit for brains still won't have a clue, but yeah, never mind about them. All right, let's get on to this. So, Ager-Hanssen exposed.com bankrupt again. Norway's fakest, richest man, Christian Ager-Hanssen, has been declared bankrupt in his home country after failing to pay his increasingly mounting debts. This marks the 3rd country he has now been bankrupt in. It can also be revealed that Ager-Hanssen's Norway's home was raided by the police earlier this year, who seized all of his devices. The news is the latest in an ongoing saga following Ager-Hanssen's failed coup in September 2023, in which he stole several devices and failed to disclose what exactly he'd stolen when he broke into nChain's server room. Oh no, I remember doing that, literally just marching in like Darth Vader did, in the opening scene of Star Wars. A legal case in the UK saw a High Court judge laugh Ager-Hanssen's ridiculous conspiracy claims out of the remote hearings, saying they had no bearing on orders to return the stolen data. His continued refusal to return the stolen data led to a 10-month prison sentence and an order to pay hundreds of thousands in legal fees. He couldn't pay and was declared bankrupt in the UK. This seemingly led nChain to take the fight to him in Norway, and they convicted the Stavanger court. Or they convinced the Stavanger court to send the police to his home in order to retrieve all the stolen data and devices he had. nChain also asked the court to help recover the money owed to them. Ager-Hanssen tried his usual tactics of ignoring, delaying and trying to obfuscate grievances, trying to claim nChain actually owed him money, and that despite being declared bankrupt in August 2025, he was in the process of trying to reopen the legal case, despite nothing being filed in the 6 months preceding the raid. He's also still running his whistleblowing long con, pretending his whistleblowing was mentioned 70 times in Judge Miller's report, when in reality his Fairway report had nothing to do with the Cobra trial. Pay commercial lobbyists, WBUK, have even made him an ambassador owing to his serial whistleblowing, despite Judge Miller stating Ager-Hanssen had nothing at all to do with his judgment. And this is in the judgment, I guess, point 413. He said, "I should add, for the avoidance of any doubt, that I have not relied or placed any weight on the reported conclusions of either Mr. Ager-Hanssen or Mr. Ayer. I have reached my own conclusions based on only the evidence and submissions I received during the trial, albeit as indicated above. I have also had regard to events which occurred during my case management pre-trial." According to his pet outlet, DN Media, he sent a 128-page report to the judge, ranting and raving like a lunatic, begging the judge to delay declaring him bankrupt, as he is now in Sweden trying to find a new mark. He is understood to be living off a small allowance provided to him by his wife Caroline, who became independently wealthy after marrying Ugo Bofa, a genuinely wealthy man, who was in his late 80s at the time, while she was in her youth. Things haven't been going too well for our diminutive conman lately either. He was reported to Swedish police in March after launching a blackmail and extortion campaign against Norwegian bank bosses. He also spent new Mark Oscar Elbert's money instead of paying the court fees, leading to the whole case being thrown out and Engelbert on the hook for the legal fees. This latest blow will undoubtedly shake his ability to keep conning his way into other legal battles, such as the wife of sanctioned oligarch Kirill Shamlov, whom he took money off to pay for legal fees and then ran off with her money. Given the fact that the police have all his evidence, who knows what other crimes they're going to uncover. Members of the Custos gang are panicking and about what might be about to come out about them, and trying to blow their own whistle before it comes to that, and are understood to be trying to cut their own exit from the sinking Ager-Hanssen ship. Yeah, I mean, what an absolute mess that was. How on earth could I don't get how he could have got into Enchain. Like, honestly, like, what the fuck? It just goes to show you, people at the top still don't have an effing clue. Not an effing clue. You know, that is absolutely outrageous what went on there. Let's get into this then. So I think this was the highest record of the day. The transactions were going up and up and up and up and up. Remember this. Let's have a let's bring this up. Here we go, check it out. Do you remember when Neil Oliver thought that 15 million transactions in 24 hours was interesting? Well, check this out. 15 million, we're now at 152 million. Literally a 10x in the number of transactions that were initially interesting. Now we're at 152 million. Absolutely crazy. It's just dropped a little bit to 121 million in 24 hours. But I mean, my goodness me. Look at this. Look at that. 123 million. 177,849 transactions in the last 24 hours. Absolutely crazy. Oh, and they're still going up in this block. Look at that. Live memory pool transactions. 1,198,000. Man, look at those transactions flying up. Look at that. You never get that on GregCoin. Never get that on GregCoin. Love it. Love it. Right, let's go on to some 365 days of Bitcoin history. What an epic day. An epic day. The 2nd of May was. But just because I missed out yesterday, on the 1st of May 1984 was when Frederick Hayek said, "I don't believe we shall ever have a good money again before we take it out of the hands of government. We can't take it violently. All we can do is, by some sly roundabout way, introduce something they can't stop." I mean, absolutely epic. Yeah, and again, George Orwell's 1984, that's when he said that, 1st of May 1984. So he knew what was going on. And now we're here in the fight for our lives with Bitcoin. And check this out. Oh, sorry, I should have put this before. 1st of May 1933 was the cutoff and closing date for Executive Order 6102. Check it out. Where they said, look at this. Under Executive Order of the President, issued 5th of April 1933, All persons are required to deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all gold coin, gold bullion and gold certificates now owned by them to a Federal Reserve Bank, branch or agency, or to any member bank of the Federal Reserve System. And look at this, criminal penalties for violation of execution of executive order. $10,000 fine, remember this was back in 1933, or 10 years in prison, or both. What? For not handing any gold in? What is illegal or what is unlawful about that? What criminal act has been committed? Well, none. What they were doing was criminal, but unbelievable that people actually did it. But 2nd of May 1946 was actually when SEC versus W.J. Howico 1946 was argued. I mean, what a fantastic case. So it's this case here that blows the bank's fiat currency out of the water, and all those of all the shitcoin cryptos, including Gregcoin. They are all economically worthless security offerings, and they're unregistered, making them illegal and economically worthless. So yeah, but that's certainly an event worth mentioning. On the 2nd of May 2009, there was I think there was first ever Marty Malmy email to Craig. 2nd of May, look at that, 2nd of May 2009. January, February, March, April, May. So just 5 months after the network started. Amazing. Amazing. But the big ones here, on the 2nd of May 2016, Gavin Andresen, creator of the Bitcoin Foundation and the individual known to have inherited the role of lead developer for Bitcoin off of Satoshi Nakamoto, publishes a blog post titled, "I believe Craig Stephen Wright is the person who invented Bitcoin." And again, whenever you try to log in, look, this always comes up. Yeah, oh, your connection is not private, blah, 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 blah. They're desperate trying to get people not to click on it. There you go, look, proceed to Gavin Andresen Ninja. There we go, look, they just don't want people to go through to, oh, don't want to see this. And again, he had to put this on there, but he said, look, I believe Craig Wright is the person who invented Bitcoin. Yeah, and then describes his meeting when he went to London. Brilliant. Yeah, look, 2nd of May 2016. So let's just read this anyway, just for nostalgia. He said, I believe Craig Stephen Wright is the person who invented Bitcoin. I was flown to London to meet Dr. Wright a couple of weeks ago after an initial email conversation convincing me that there was a very good chance that he had the same person I communicated with in 2010 and early 2011. After spending time with him, I'm convinced beyond reasonable doubt Craig Wright is Satoshi. Part of that time was spent on careful cryptographic verification of messages signed with keys that only Satoshi should possess. But even before I witnessed the keys signed and then verified on a clean computer that could not have been tampered with. Could not have been tampered with. Old what's her face missed that of our report, didn't it? Mickle John. He said, I was reasonably certain I was sitting next to the father of Bitcoin. During our meeting, I saw the brilliant, opinionated, focused, generous and privacy-seeking person that matched the Satoshi I worked with 6 years ago. And he cleared up a lot of mysteries, including why he disappeared, when he did, and what he's been busy with since 2011. But I'm going to respect Dr. Wright's privacy and let him decide how much of that story he shares with the world. We love to create heroes, but also seem to love hating them. If they don't live up to some unattainable ideal, it would be better if Satoshi Nakamoto was the codename for the NSA project or an artificial intelligence sent from the future to advance our primitive money. He is not. He is an imperfect human being, just like the rest of us. I hope he manages to mostly ignore the storm that his announcement will create and keep doing what he loves, learning and researching and innovating. I'm very happy to be able to say I shook his hand and thanked him for giving Bitcoin to the world. Awesome. And then he was purposely made to put this on top of this. February 2023. He said, I don't believe in rewriting history. So that was Gavin's saying, look, I'm being forced to write this. So he said, I don't believe in rewriting history, so I'm going to leave this post up. Again, because he's been having his arm twist to take it down. He said, but in the 7 years since I wrote it, a lot has happened, and I now know it was a mistake to trust Craig Wright as much as I did. I regret getting sucked into the who is or who isn't Satoshi game, and I refuse to play that game anymore. So he's been forced to say that, because otherwise he would take that down. But by saying, I don't believe in rewriting history, and so I'm going to leave this post up, that was the post. He's like, look, this is what I stand by. But now he's been forced to say that, I mean, this just goes to show you the amount of pressure that the cabal are willing to put on people. Like, unbelievable. Well, it's not unbelievable. It's very real. But, I mean, I wouldn't have guessed this, sort of like prior to 2017. I would have had no idea, so I would have been like him. But also on the 2nd of May, John Matonis, monetary economist, co-founding director of the Bitcoin Foundation and chief economist at Cypherpunk Holdings, published a Medium article titled How I Met Satoshi and names Craig Wright as the creator of Bitcoin. So John Matonis as well, another big hitter. Mentions Craig Wright, and he also introduced, Craig Wright, the Bitcoin conference. Look at that. So that's another one. So that is both Gavin and John Matonis. Both of them there now. Saying that Craig is Satoshi Nakamoto. Amazing. Let's go into May. Also on the 2nd of May 2016, same day, after having initially released an article on the 8th of December 2015, pointing the finger at Craig Wright as being Satoshi Nakamoto, and we've got the article here, Wired Magazine publishes another article naming Craig Wright as the inventor of Bitcoin, titled How Craig Wright Privately Proved He Created Bitcoin. And that was by Wired Magazine. Also on the same day, 2nd of May 2016, after having initially released an article on the 9th of December 2015, pointing the finger at Craig Wright being Satoshi, Gizmodo magazine publishes an article quoting Gavin Andresen as saying, I was not hacked, I believe Craig Wright is Satoshi. Absolutely. 2nd of May 2016, also The Economist publishes an article referencing the claim that Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous inventor of Bitcoin. And again, and that was The Economist magazine, owned by the Rothschilds, and even they were saying it. Whoa. 2nd of May 2016, the BBC publishes an article referencing the claim that Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous inventor of Bitcoin. There we go. Australian Craig Wright claims to be a Bitcoin creator. It's all there. On the 2nd of May 2016, again, Craig Wright claims to be the Bitcoin's creator following the 5-month absence from the public eye. Craig Wright publicly announced he was Satoshi Nakamoto by means of a blog post. The blog post featured a disjointed demonstration of a private key signing, which seemed to be an attempt to verify Wright was in possession of Nakamoto's private Bitcoin key. This verification was later debunked by the Bitcoin community. Well, that was Gradecoin community, really. Wright's claim was backed up by Bitcoin developer Gavin Andresen in his own blog post earlier the same day. Andresen stated that he met with Craig Wright in person in London and privately witnessed Wright signing an arbitrary message using one of Nakamoto's private Bitcoin keys. Andresen later stated that he may have been tricked by Wright, and he's got different sources here. But it was also on the 2nd to the 4th of May, the Bitcoin conference, Gavin gives an interview to the BBC. It was BTC 16 was the name of the conference. BTC 2016, a blockchain technology conference, New York, saying that he met up with and was shown cryptographic proof beyond reasonable doubt by Craig Wright in London that he possessed a private key from the very first Bitcoin block. He also gave testimony on stage at the conference in New York that Craig Wright showed in the cryptographic proof that he possessed the private key to the very first ever mined Bitcoin block known to be mined by Satoshi Nakamoto. I wonder if we can play that here.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I wasn't asked why I'm convinced Craig is Satoshi. I posted on Reddit. He signed in my presence using the private key from block number 1, the very first mined Bitcoin block, on a computer that I'm convinced had not been tampered with, on software I'm convinced that had not been tampered with, a message of my choosing.
There we go. Check it out. Loving that. On the 2nd of May 2022 was when Kurt Warwick Jr. Published part 2 of the Fake Satoshi series, The Men Who Are Not Satoshi. Loving that. That was quite a good one, that. I think this one featured Adam Back. So that was back in 2022. So Adam Back is definitely not Satoshi. Otherwise, he would have been referencing himself in his own white paper and all that kind of stuff. So there we go. That's a 29-minute show. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. So as ever, if you enjoyed these updates, please ding your donations for your appreciation to either Satoshi@sendme.com, Hagash.io, Rockwallet.me, Simply.cash, Related.com, or Senti.ch. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. As ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money.
The king still has one more move.